FIFA President Sepp Blatter is re-elected for a fifth term. For more perspective on what this means for global soccer, we are joined by former professional soccer star Jimmy Conrad. He was a defender on the men's U.S. national team, briefly served as captain, and played in the 2006 FIFA World Cup. Now he's with YouTube soccer channel Kick TV. Also with us is Bloomberg's Brendan Greeley, who has been following the story. So excited to see you here. I can barely get it out. Tell us your reaction, first off, to Mr. Blatter being reelected, but second, it took a second round to do this.
It did, but I think that was just a mere formality. I think Blatter was going to win. I don't think it's a big surprise to anybody in the soccer world. There's a lot of corruption that exists, not only with FIFA, but all of its tentacles that it reaches out to. So I think if you're in it a long time, you understand this is going to be part of it. It's just sad from a voter's perspective, because you're voting for two different versions of Blatter, the senile old man that doesn't have any idea, or the guy that's the most corrupt in the whole entire world.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, get us up to speed on what happened here, because a Jordanian prince was also in the running, but he withdrew his candidacy?
He withdrew when it became clear that he wasn't going to win the absolute majority in any case, in any round of voting, to actually become president himself, just to spare everybody the next round. I was surprised, though, Jimmy, that he got as many as 73 votes. I had a whip count beforehand, and my most generous estimate was 60, and he went far beyond that. So he had to have picked up some South American teams, and perhaps even some Central American teams, in order to do that. So were you surprised by the level of support that actually
I was
came?
surprised, and now I'm going to be interested to see what the repercussions are going to be of that. When you go against President Blatter, bad things usually happen.
Well, this is why there were paper ballots, because evidently the U.S. Soccer asked that there be a paper ballot so that Sepp Blatter could never know who voted for what. Did you hear people saying things about Blatter in the last 2 days that you had not heard them say before? David Cameron, Michel Platini.
No, I mean, what those guys were saying rung true. It was just surprising for them to finally step up and take some ownership of it, to finally have the gall and the courage to say, you know what, we actually don't believe in who you are and what you stand for. And it's time. If you actually have the organization at its best interest, then you should just step down. Do the right thing for the organization. It's not about you and your unchecked power.
Jimmy, last hour when Brendan joined us, when all of this news was breaking, he gave me the best explanation that I have heard this week. I asked him, why is this so important outside of the realm of sports, outside of the realm of football, of soccer? And he said, it's about power. Is this about unchecked, unbridled power?
There's no question. And you want to think that maybe the International Olympic Committee would be next. The IOC would be another target, because they're another organization that is a behemoth and has this unchecked power and can do whatever they want without any repercussions. So it's sad to see that Sepp Blatter is still going to remain in charge.
Jimmy, you mentioned repercussions twice. Let's talk about the repercussions, at least for Team USA. Is U.S. always going to be stuck in the group of death? Are we never going to be able to host a World Cup?
It's always a group of death when we're in there. We always seem to fall into that. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe we get held hostage in terms of, maybe that's not the best phrasing of words, but for the 2026 World Cup, which would have been a nice place for us to land. Or maybe if they do end up moving the tournament from Qatar in 2022, would we have been a nice destination? Because we could turn around and hold that tournament in no time, 6 months maybe. England would be another nice spot for it. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully time heals some wounds. But you know, if the authorities from the U.S. and Swiss and whoever else is going to get involved do end up bringing these people and flipping them, then I think Sepp Blatter could be in trouble no matter what happened in this election.
I wanted to ask you about the FBI case. I'm assuming you've got contacts all over Europe from your professional days and from your international days. What do they say about the U.S. stepping in here?
I think everybody has stood up and applauded that we actually had, like I said earlier, the bravado to step up and say, you know what?
Except for Vladimir Putin.
Well, well, that guy takes his shirt off and does whatever he wants. You know? So you have to take him with a grain of salt. But with regard to the U.S., it was just nice to see that we had enough hard evidence to say, all right, we're going to get the underlings underneath Blatter, and if we can flip those guys, then maybe we have something real to get him.
Jimmy, could I ask, okay, now we know Sepp Blatter is going to have another term. Does the discussion now turn to who's going to succeed him? Does that begin, or does that already begin in earnest now?
He's 79, so I mean, if he feels like he can do it at 79, what's to say he couldn't do it at 83? I mean, the guy said at the 2011 election that was going to be his last term.
I mean, he
lied to the UEFA president Michel Platini that this was my last term. Please get all that, and then.
And he did stand up after the vote was over and receive people at the podium like a capo. Yeah, exactly. And he said, and then he got up to speak again. He said, "It is my Congress. I have the right to make closing remarks."
Well, he feels like he has a lot of right to a lot of things.
He's a special human being.
Special human being. Does the U.S.'s leading role in this corruption scandal advance or retard its efforts to promote soccer?
Oh, I think it only helps. The fact that we are so engaged, and I would be interested to see how many viewers were tuned in to watch this FIFA Congress, to watch this high school balloting that we did to get an election here, because there were so many people that wanted to talk about it, and if you went on Twitter or any of the social media, it just blew up. It was wildfire. So
was there any chance that Sepp Blatter was not going to be reelected?
I didn't think so, and it wasn't a surprise that this happened. But that being said, once these authorities get some more hard information, if they can turn some of these top officials that he had right underneath him, it's only a matter of time before they get him.
Is this the end of this discussion? Do you think any confederations might pull out of the World Cup in protest?
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know if they're ready to make that kind of statement just yet, but I think that would be something to want to consider. Because not only you have to get confederations that want to get sponsors, TV deals, all of them included as well, and then you'd have like a separate, alternate universe World Cup to see where that's played.
It'd be like boxing.
A little bit, different.
I have to ask, because you made the parallel between FIFA and the International Olympic Committee. According to federal prosecutors, this type of corruption hasn't been going on for years. It's been going on for generations. We're talking about late 80s, early 90s. Weren't there any red flags then?
I would like to think there were a lot of red flags, and that's where the culpability could fall into some people that probably knew. But if Sepp Blatter, who's the man in charge, sets up the rules of the game, and you want to get into this game, the biggest game in the world, then you have to play by Sepp's rules. And so it's just really hard for I don't know. It's really frustrating. And
you say frustrating a lot. Very quickly, did you ever see any signs of corruption or wrongdoing when you were playing?
No, not when the games were being played. I feel like the pageantry of the World Cup, everything felt real. I didn't feel like anything was being, there were no machinations behind the scenes.
This was in the C-suite.
Right. This is all the stuff like who's getting the tournaments, who's the sponsors getting it.
The real corruption happens in your post-player career when you advance too.
Who told you?
Jimmy Conrad, a defender on the men's U.S. national team, briefly served as captain, played in the 2006 FIFA World Cup. What's it like playing in a World Cup?
It is incredible. It's a dream realized, and it really validates all the hard work that you put into it.
Wow, Brendan Greeley, he's been following this story for us as well. Gentlemen, thanks so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.